Physical identities, logical identities. Two kinds of identities in every enterprise, generating data in the real world and on the network. Users and experts at RSA in San Francisco and ISC West in Las Vegas explain why linking these physical and logical identities and what they do is a convergence hotspot.
The fact that I have access to a warehouse full of fur coats, for example, and I also have access to the database that stores the information about how many fur coats I'm supposed to have in my business or at my retail store. And the ability for a user to take a look at the fact that I accessed the database to change the quantity 10 minutes before I went and actually used my key card to access that warehouse and take a whole bunch of fur coats home and make my wife very happy. So those kinds of fraud of physical things in retail or in other goods mean you have to look at physical access to those things in addition to electronic access to various control systems that are in place to keep people from taking those things.
In terms of policies, there's physical policies, who gets a badge, who gets access to what resource. Those are very similar to IT policies. Notions of identity. I have a badge with my picture on it and the right logoing and has electronic information that authenticates somehow. That authenticates me on a physical level in the traditional model. I have a username, I have a password. That's a simplified model for cyber access. I have places I need to get to, applications that is, to use, and ways to use data and business systems. When you come right down to it, these policies can be integrated to a degree, allowing for an efficiency of control and ultimately a better offering across the board.
IT security and physical security each bring their own strengths to converging physical and logical identities.
Why deal with identities in multiple ways when IT clearly has a much broader and more sophisticated, established way of managing identities within directories and how to push and pull them throughout, the enterprise? Why not then bind those identities down into the physical world so that when changes happen or things are added or things are deleted and so forth in day-to-day business, that you have a completely automated and assured and trusted process for the integrity of that data and how it's boiling down into, yes, physical assets and their availability as well.
We've worked very closely with our physical security department to determine what are the models that work best. Do we want to have two separate cyber tokens, a password and a separate token, a separate smart card, and then the physical badge that people carry? That doesn't seem very efficient. And conversely, from an IT perspective, when you issue identity, you have a trust model that you're establishing. You need to do this well. Well, frankly, the physical security guys are already doing this for distributed enterprises. For IT departments to take advantage of those and integrate with those processes would be an incredible piece to leverage.
IT and physical security can merge their identity expertise onto a smart card. The cards represent a person's physical and logical identities and also their digital and physical access rights.
Once you've got a card that can be used both for logical and physical, you want to converge the issuance and the management system. So instead of having one issuance step, which is to go to the physical access system where I get my credential, I get my card assigned to me and the access to the different building, and then I need to go to another system that will say, where am I in the directory, which application can I access to. You can converge the two systems by using different set of APIs so that you can have a one-step issuance where from one system, that could be either the physical access part or the logical access, you can do one-step issuance. This is something that we see a lot of traction.
Microsoft touted credential management capabilities in its Forefront Identity Manager tool at RSA. Hirsch Electronics announced identity and card management capabilities for its Velocity security management system at ISC West. Hirsch also showed its Physical Access Control Events Gateway, which uses a standard Trusted Computing Group communications protocol to tell network elements and other systems about access events.
Just because I use the same credential at the door and on my PC, the network has no knowledge of where you're doing that from. I could be accessing or unlocking my PC with that credential at home, from a Starbucks, or I could be in the office. The network itself really isn't aware of that to any great degree or with any degree of specificity. It's only through basically tying the physical event logs, the access control logs, into the network itself, or sharing that information, that the network is really going to become aware of physical presence or a physical event in a given location. We can start to tie these worlds together and actually address some significant problems, some gaps that exist, by having separate policies for how we address things on the physical security side and how we address them on, say, the IT or the cyber security side of things. But by sharing that information and leveraging it, we can start to close those gaps, we can start to solve some real common problems by basically now tying in physical presence or other physical events and make that part of the policy for how you may be gain access or denied access to various network resources. We can go another step and actually now use that information such that other business systems can start to make decisions on what information, say, a user can access given a particular location.
Despite its benefit, humans tend to get in the way of the technology that pieces together physical and logical identities.
The biggest issue we saw in implementation are issues of silos within the enterprise. Dealing with two different teams, the physical access team and the logical access, the IT guys. It's a different set of cultures. I mean, you see some move and some convergence happening there, but in a lot of companies, they report in a different part of the organization. They have different set of priorities, they have different budgets, and making all these people work together is difficult. It's a challenge.
This is Sharon J. Watson reporting for Security Squared.